Hello, hello, hello. Hello, I think we are here. Sorry about being 3 minutes late. Still very new to all this, so it takes a bit of time for me to get used to it. That's all I got to say, really. Oh, let's make sure you can't hear yourself. Oh no, I think it was okay anyway. Check if it's okay. Yep, seems okay. Hello, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for joining so early. I'm just gonna give it a minute before obviously people join up, and then we'll go more in depth about the game. But obviously, don't really stream much, but I have a lot to say. I agree with Amar. Yes, I feel the same in many ways. It's one of them weird moments because you're like really happy. Well, not maybe really happy, but you're pretty satisfied that we got a late equalizer. But yeah, I mean, I'm still like in the emotions of the game. I gave myself a bit of time to kind of look into. I basically just skipped through the second half again because I wanted to, and the end of the first half relatively, because that was still on Sky Sports on the playback. So I wanted to kind of see yet again, like with another view of the game being over, like what happened. So that's where I was the last hour, just having a look at that. And there's a lot of stuff. I will have stuff on the tactics board. I very quickly rushed it up, so it's probably going to be a bit scuffed, but it is what it is at the end of the day. We don't really care about that stuff overall. It's ultimately, we're just going to have a chat about the game and, just talk about things, I guess, to do with it. But yeah, honestly, I'm probably with you guys. I genuinely think that there's a lot of frustrations today. I think most of my frustrations do go on to one person, and it's probably going to be the same as you guys. Like, I do think this was a considerably weak game for Arteta. Like, as someone as you guys know, like I appreciate Arteta a lot. I go on about how much I like Arteta. Think he's a top manager. Think today really there was a lot of let down there. I think I felt quite let down by not only his selections. I think in the game as it progressed, there was moments where like he did get better, but I was very annoyed. And we shouldn't have to get to that point anyway, is it? Like, it's always that thing, isn't it? Like where people talk about, oh, the manager's done the subs and the subs are brilliant. That's great management. But it's like, well, if you just played the right players at the start, then you wouldn't have to make good subs sometimes. And that's not necessarily like a easy way to say. Like sometimes it's not always that easy. But, there's sometimes where I look at today and I'm just like, I mean, we all could see what was going on before the game happened. I've been speaking about it this week about who we think he's going to play. I wasn't surprised about Marino. I was surprised about Trossard. When I saw him in the start 11, I was like, oh, okay. And I literally was sitting there trying to figure out why they put him in. And I think I know why he was in, watching the game and kind of figuring it out. But I don't like it. I'm still not going to like it. I'm still going to sit there and be like, oh, great decision. Like, I don't think it's a great decision, personally. I think it's quite poor. The Marino one as well. I think I understand why he did it, but when the game played out, I was like, this is concerning. I will say, I'm hoping, I mean, this is very hopeful thinking, but I'm hoping that he learns. Like, I'm hoping that now we just go, we can't do this. Because if I see a Marino, I see Mendy and Rice midfield against Newcastle away, oh my God, I'm just going to give up. I just don't know what to say. Like, I feel like going into that game, that's such a team he would play as well. We know what he's like against them games. But look, we don't win them games anyway, so why don't we just try something different? Like, I don't know, like it's a it's a big thing, I guess. I honestly didn't really have that much negativity over the Liverpool game because I just kind of felt like, yes, we were quite passive, but I get it in the moment with the team that Liverpool are, and Liverpool also are passive, but I don't particularly have any excuses for today. Like, in my opinion, today was just weird. Like, it's just not good enough, to be honest, from everyone. And I just think, I mean, it's quite obvious that we all kind of probably think the same thing, and I think that's fair. We will have, I think, when it's this obvious that everyone in the fan base, everyone who even like analyzes or talks about football or Arsenal, can talk about the same things within this game, I think then it comes abundantly clear what the problems are overall. But Yeah, I see some of you guys. Thank you guys for being there. I see some of you guys in the comments. Yeah, it definitely felt avoidable. Agree with you, George there. Like, that's the annoying thing about this game, isn't it? Like, it is the fact that you just think that I think personally we are a better team than Manchester City. I've watched every game of the City this year by City, and I just don't think they're that good. I think there was clear weaknesses there, and I just think that we didn't even like, which is so frustrating because I know we are a better team, and we just don't show it. And it's up to the manager to put us in a position to show that, and I don't think he has. Again, really, I don't think he did against Liverpool. I can understand that a bit more. You have to accept it, but I can understand it. But this, I'm like, yeah, this is a bit up in the air. So yeah, I'll say quickly, like, I think in terms of starting 11, I feel like we could go in the tactical board for this actually, because I feel like the reasons why Marino and Trossard played, I'm gonna try and explain why. My knowledge of it is going to be trying to explain. Uh, oh, give me a sec. Give me a sec, guys. Yep, I'm still new to this all. There we go. We're back. Right, the little tactical board is here. Let's get the comments up so I can see you guys as well. Yeah, so right, let's talk about it. I think going into this game, I watched the City and United game last week, and City gave up a lot of possession. So I was thinking already prematurely into this game that I genuinely just thought that Man City will probably go hard at the start. I mean, it's kind of hindsight, but I did kind of say, I said this on the podcast before that I was like, I can see Art City just really trying and then like sitting off a little bit because they're not good out of possession, particularly this season. They've proved it. I don't think Tijani Linders is very good off the ball. He was okay today, fair enough to them. You know, he sat well in a block, but I think there's weaknesses there when their team push up. So I think when I looked at this team, like you want Marino in the team for two reasons, really. Like it's mostly pressing. He is used as a vital component for build up, but I'm not someone that particularly likes him in build up. I think in terms of pressing, he makes a lot of sense. When we press against Bilbao in the week, obviously some of these, this is the team we played today, but you know, we'll take it in context anyway. We basically had like Gyökeres and Marino as a two like this, but Marino is basically playing as like the Odegaard, the herder, the guy that tries to basically force the ball into situations where Gyökeres, not really Gyökeres, but other people can win the ball back. So he was a major component of it. He was the main presser. So that made sense. Like Bilbao had, there was quite a big few moments that they had a lot of the ball. They didn't have a lot. They kind of gave it to us a bit, but they were willing to have it. They're at home, you know, we know the occasion. Man City came to the Emirates and obviously there's a lot of game statey things and they did score very early with Erling Haaland on the break where, yes, I think Saliba does make a bit of a mistake and I think it's kind of on him. There's a few other players. It's a bit of a team thing, but I do think Saliba is to be looked at and maybe you can argue Mascara should have played. I wouldn't have hated Mascara playing. I don't. I feel like it's just weird. It's one of them in the air. Like I'm like I could get it. Like I don't really have too many qualms about that, but I understand. Like yeah, I think Mascara deserved his spot as well. But yeah, like basically, so like Arteta played this game as he wanted a team that were going to get the ball and keep control. But the problem that I think happened in this game, which I kind of felt like was going to happen anyway, was that we played a team that didn't want the ball. Like, I know that Man City are a team that have wanted the ball in the past, but this season, even against not even us, in other games, against United, for instance, they didn't want the ball. They're not a team that really wants it all the time. They are a counter-attacky team, you can say, but they are a very, like, direct team in that way. And their build-up is worse with Donnarumma in goal. So they're not going to be a team that waits and waits and waits and builds up slowly like we do. So it really surprised. I wasn't surprised by Marino playing because I'll show it here quickly, but one of the reasons why Marino played is because I think that he thought not only in pressing is it going to be important when Man City have the ball, but it's more important when we need to create an overload on the width to get out of the block, basically. This is a rough moment, but there was a few moments in the first 5 to 6, 7 minutes where basically Haaland would push Saliba, would give the ball into Saliba, And there'd be obviously man-to-man marking. This guy would go and cover Gabriel, and it would create overloads where if you create passes quick enough, Mourinho was free. The centre-backs didn't want to jump. He was out on the width, so was Rice, but Rice was getting tracked by this guy more because he's obviously more of a threat. So Mourinho had loads and loads and loads of space to basically come away with it. Now, that's great. We've broke the press. Well done, guys. But we're here. And this is one of the biggest issues with Arteta's Arsenal in these games is that Mourinho's great to break the press. You know, he gets in great positions, works well off the ball. You know, even against Bilbao, he was coming down width-wise and like helping us overlap. I mean, some of the goals that we score are him coming into these areas and like switching it, doing great play. Great, cool. But the problem is Mourinho's just not a player on the ball. Not only he can't really run with it, he's quite, I don't know, stiff. He doesn't really move a lot. He's just a player that isn't really going to do much in this position. Like, he's just not going to do much in this position. He needs players around him to create. Now, the one of the biggest issues I have about that is that Mourinho is a great guy that gets you control of the game and keeps the ball. But without players that are actually good and do stuff on the ball, he's pointless. And I said going into this game that I was worried because I just felt like Arsenal were going to get control of the game anyway. I felt like we were going to have the ball loads. I didn't feel like it was going to be an issue. And I just kind of felt like, yeah, Mourinho's a good player to help you get out of that. But what's the solution? Like, what are we going to do in this position? And that's why when I've said a couple of times that Mourinho in midfield, I can understand a little bit more with an Eze out on the left. Because if Eze kind of works with the left back, where Calafiori obviously moves wherever he wants. But let's say Eze comes inside, gets a bit of space, or even plays as the width player. I trust Eze to create in this position. Not all the time. We've seen it against Bilbao. But I trust him to either make an early ball or make a run down to the wing. You know, just something. He's a creative player. He's a final third action player. Well, not even final third, but he's just a player that, you know, he'll have about 10 touches a game and he'll have more of a chance of getting a goal and assist than Madueke. And Madueke is like better at some other things. And Madueke might play better overall than Eze, I think, averagely. But he's not going to get anywhere near the goals and assists of him because he's just not that efficient and hasn't got really that head for it at the moment. Obviously, there's 4 years age difference between the two, but, you know, I'm trying to say that. So when Eze doesn't play, I'm like, well, okay, Martinelli plays. We spoke about this loads, and I spoke about how I was very critical of Martinelli. He plays because he works hard defensively. You know, he runs and creates the width, and he just keeps running around. And it's very helpful when you want a quick switch over to keep the ball. It doesn't create anything, but it gets you more pressure. So it's like, you know, I get this. I get it. Don't have to like it. I didn't like it in the Liverpool game. I thought Martinelli playing was stupid, but in some games I get it, and I still think he's a better player off the bench. But Trossard, to me, the reason why Trossard play, I think this is like obviously just my opinions or whatever. Like it's not saying it is guaranteed, but a lot of the times he was coming a bit deeper. Like, I mean, we'll move Rice a bit. Rice wasn't here, but Rice does cover for Calafiori when Calafiori goes around. But basically, I feel like the problem with the reason why Trossard was in the team was to basically just switch the ball. Like, I felt like he had the ball here in the deeper positions. He's not going to run. He's not going to come into the middle and create that much. He's basically just going to do a quick switch over. And I think that was the plan, to just get Madueke in that space. Maybe as well with Woklz, but it didn't really work with him, especially with Woklz having the entire defence on him nearly all the time. So I think that was the idea, to get Madueke in these positions. But I just still have worries. Like, Madueke was relatively quite good in the right. He was one of my best players again. And he's creating, you know, he gets the byline, he stands a defender up, he crosses the ball in these positions. But it's still Woklz and like 3 defenders in there, and like maybe Mourinho, you know, when he can be asked, runs in late, and that's it. What's Trossard going to do in these positions? Nothing. So it just feels like, to me, Arteta is so adamant on doing these really tactical insight details to gain control and get the ball into the final third, but he doesn't have many solutions for the team in the final third. And I get there's a point of platform and your players have to figure stuff out, but I think sometimes when we don't have a very intelligent guy like Bukayo Saka in the team, there's problems in terms of the team with that going on, because I just think if Madueke is his whole idea is like, well, I'm going to run to the byline and cross it, which is what any normal winger probably would do, but bear in mind. And there's just no options. Like, it's just, and he's not even the best crosser anyway. And it's just Woklz in the middle. I worry. And I just think, like, I just don't think he platforms the attack enough. I don't think he really helps the players enough. I think it's all about gaining control, which is great. And I like these tactical battles. I think it's important to have these in certain games. But I just think sometimes Arteta is so hell-bent on things that don't necessarily matter that much in the grand scheme of things overall. I think that he is such a tactician and such a perfectionist that even like I am as well, like when I talk about tactics in my videos, we go into the nitty-gritty details of very specific details, and that is definitely down to Arteta and how he manages and like how I look at the game. But sometimes in the world of football and in times in at least in elite football, you just need to find solutions, and sometimes that isn't getting Mourinho to break the press in the first phase and get to the ball in this position. Sometimes that is just having this sort of idea to have someone pick the ball up in the middle and kick the ball 50 yards for the striker to go on and run. And like there's tactical elements that help that space be created and the run and everything has to be perfect. But that isn't necessarily like a full tactics thing. That is genuinely just the players taking initiative because they're good. And we have enough players in this team, in the depth. I mean, I think we have the best squad in the Prem. So, in my opinion, there's no excuses. And some of the comments that Arteta says in games like this worry me. After the game, he's coming out and saying, yes, we have injuries. We know Havertz is injured, and I like Havertz, and I know how big Havertz is for the team. But we're one of the biggest clubs in this country. Why are we relying on one player or two players to basically bail out the press? Without Odegaard and Havertz in the team, we're borderline useless sometimes at doing some simple things in containing pressure and keeping the ball. And that's why he has to do these crazy things like play Mourinho, play Chosso to just keep the ball. But it's like, no, you should just trust in someone like Eze that he's going to lose the ball sometimes. He's going to make mistakes, but he's going to create something. He's going to do something. He's fully willing to do that with Madueke. One, because he kind of had to with the injuries. And two, because Madueke gets into the box and then will give it away. And it's not as bad as someone like in the midfield or deeper position. But I just think like it is so unoriginal to play Mourinho in this midfield. And I knew Mourinho would play this game. I'm not surprised. But I just cannot like accept it anymore. Like I just don't think he does anything for us. And I do think today Arteta knew he got it wrong for once, because he actually changed. He did the two subs at half time. And I mean, I'm not someone that's going to sit here and say Arteta's like overly negative in games against big teams, because our record against big teams is better than anyone else in the Premier League. So I just think it's a stupid point to prove. But I also think that like there is a sense of some abilities need to be factored a bit more. By the way, as well, like I will say, there is as much as I'm angry and annoyed about some of the results, I am not crazy. I'm not gonna change my opinion I've had about some of these players. Mourinho is not a DM, by the way. Like anyone who thinks he's a DM he's not. He looks like one, he's not. And this is one of the other issues I have with this whole Mourinho thing. Mourinho's not amazing here anyway. The best place Mourinho is here, but he's not going to be there, and he needs players to help him. He's not like, I just think Mourinho's fine, but he isn't. I would class Mourinho more as an attacking midfield than a defensive midfield personally, but that's not necessarily a good thing. I just think that is what it is. I just think he's just one of them okay players that kind of moves around and is a very good facilitator. And I think it's fine when you have progressors around him. We saw it for Spain because they've got Pedri, who's like the best midfielder in the world, who can just do what he wants and progresses the ball, creates for them. And it's like, oh, wow, Mourinho can just be that extra man in the attack. But for us, it's just not great. I agree, though, with the creativity. And I've been very adamant that I don't think Eze's going to play much in midfield because I just don't think Arteta trusts the pressing. But Arteta needs to realise that in 90% of the games that we're going to play, we are going to have the ball. We just are. We're a better team than the teams we're playing against. They're going to be scared. They're going to have it. The only games we're probably not going to have the ball that much, or maybe it's going to be more 50-50, is away games against certain oppositions. Newcastle away next week, I can definitely see us having a bit less possession, and that being a game where, like, okay, maybe Mourinho, in hindsight, makes more sense. But we need to just stop going for this physical attack every game. Physical, because he will do that against Newcastle. And every time we've lost to Newcastle, it's because he's done the same physical midfield, which we just get bullied off the pitch anyway. Just put some technical ability in there, please. And, I mean, Martinelli has definitely redeemed himself over the last week. He's had a brilliant 2 games off the bench. And do you know the best place he's been? Because the place that he's been the best at is here in the middle, running up through the defence. And I don't know how many times I've had to sit on videos and say that why is Martinelli not being used as a striker? I don't get it. I just don't understand. He prefers to use Trossard and ping 50-yard balls to Trossard, who he's got a good quick technical control. He can bring the ball down well, but he's not big, so he really struggles with certain like balls. So does Gyökeres, to be fair. You know, he struggles with the lofted balls to his head as well. Martinelli is by far and the best. He's the quickest player that we have in the attack, but he's also actually very good centrally at timing his runs. His run today for the equaliser, which is all him and Eze, like no one else deserves credit, it's all them, does a brilliant timing of the run. His touch is brilliant, his finish is brilliant. Like, I know we don't get them finishes all the time with Martinelli, so I'm not going to act like that's like, oh wow, we should have known, because that's just like a weird thing that happens, kind of. But he is the guy that runs a lot. So why is if you're going to use him, don't put him out here, please. We have so many left wingers. And I just find it uber frustrating that we're in this position now and we're still having to go through the same tactical resurgence of all the time. Oh, this isn't working. We've got to do this. This isn't working. And I just don't particularly have many excuses for Arteta. I just think, yeah, I honestly think that this is in the last 2 to 3 years. Even games that Arsenal have lost, and I felt like Arteta has been pouring. I felt like there's always been other mitigating factors where I'm like, okay, I will not give him the most criticism ever. As yes, we had injuries today, but this is unacceptable in my eyes. Today was unacceptable. It is 2 points lost, in my opinion, because we are a better team than them, and we can't be sitting here like be happy about like a draw against a team that like we want to win this league. You've got to win these games sometimes. It's not the end of the world, and I'm not going to be like, well, I've lost the league. Like, it's 5 games in. But if we lost this game, I really would have considered like a lot of outcomes. And this does mean that Newcastle next week is a must-win game. And how many times have we won at St James's Park? We won in 22-23 when the season was basically over. And every time we have a high-octane game there, we just lose. We lose every time by the exact same way, where they just sit in a mid-block, we don't get anything out of it, and they score. Now, Newcastle have been poor this season. They've been really bad. I think they've won 1 Premier League game and it's 1-0 against Wolves. They've drawn, I think, every away game 0-0. I think I'm right in saying that. They haven't been great. I didn't see their game today. They drew 0-0 again. I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet. But, like, yeah, what I've seen of them, they haven't been perfect. But we've just got to go there and get a result. And I don't know. It really worries me. I see that, yeah. So, like, we'll talk... For me, if we're talking about this game purely, we'll move everyone back to their same positions. I think I probably... yeah. I genuinely think I would have... I think if I was managing this game, which I'm not, I think I would have started Winery as a right centre mid and Eze on the left. I think in hindsight, like, it makes more sense now to play Eze there and like a Martinelli out wide. I think that is a better option. But I felt like if I'm thinking about what I felt like going into the game, this is what I would have played. I would have played Winery. Because when we have the ball, Winery's a good player. It's just when we don't have the ball, Winery is not as good as a Marino, for instance. But who cares? We had so much possession. Wasn't that the lowest possession that Pep Guardiola's ever had in the Premier League? And like, I'm a little surprised. Well, I'm very surprised that he just sat back completely. That's not a City thing, 5-5-0. But I'm not overly surprised that they came to the Emirates, got a goal, and then kind of didn't attack as much. Like, I'm not that surprised because I know where City are at as a team. Like, I just think... Yeah, I just think Winery should have played, I think. And even if Winery wasn't like excellent coming on, I just think that's what I would have done, being honest. But Eze has to... The good thing about this game is after the Liverpool game, I didn't think that we learnt much in terms of where Arteta's going to develop. Because I tell you what, my biggest problem I have with Arteta is his arrogance in, like, after the games, and it really annoys me. And I like Arteta, don't get me. I think he's an incredible person, of course. Like, this whole channel is built on his Arsenal. I didn't make videos before with Unai or anyone else. I was very young, but I didn't make videos about them. So, like, this channel has been built on Arsenal and Arteta. But I just hate when he comes out and he he is a bit like a fan in the sense he gets very angry like we do after the game, and you can tell he's passionate, and I like that. That's cool. But he is the manager. He comes out, he throws players under the bus, which I don't particularly like overall. Like, do it behind maybe closed doors if you're not happy, but I don't like throwing them under the bus just personally. I also don't like the fact that, you know, after every game, there's always positives to look at. And I'm always a guy that, like, you know, losing is learning or whatever. I do think that, like, when you don't succeed at something, it's good to learn from it. But we're 5 years into this project, like, you know, there's got to be a eventual point where, you know, you take that and go, well, maybe actually we should start winning. And I think in these games, when I watch it, I'm just like, oh, I've read his what he said after the game. And even then, it's like, yeah, he's happy with the finishes. Yeah, we're happy we got a draw. But I don't know. I just felt like I wanted more. When we scored, I was like, right, that's it, pick up the ball. And we're going mental, celebrating, and we're in the crowd and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't feel this, you know? I don't feel this at the moment. I'm happy we scored. I'm passionate. I celebrate. But I'm not thinking, oh, yeah, that's great. We got a draw. I'm not in that mindset anymore. In 2025, we've been here for 4 years now. And it's just one of them situations where, like, I don't know. I really, really got angry. I think that yeah, like even what he said. I think I can't remember exactly what he said after it, but he was talking about how good, like how we improved and got better. But we did waste 45 minutes of this game, and arguably waste even more of it. I don't even think. I think in the second half there was big improvements there, but it's like because what you finally played played attackers, you know? Yeah. It, where do we draw the line between throwing someone under the bus there and making them take accountable for their mistakes? I do agree with that. That's a very, very, very good point. I just think, like, if you're 3 or 4 days down the line, maybe be like, oh, Gabriel Martinelli missed this chance. Like, he maybe should have done better. I feel like there's a way of saying it rather than maybe. I feel like if your player has, because don't get me, if I was a manager and a player missed a one-on-one and that lost me the game, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, wow, this guy sucks. But I wouldn't sit there, and you got to be a bit honest and say it in a better way. I just think he's quite aggressive with the way he says things sometimes. And Arteta is a very articulate guy. He picks his words very specific. But when he throws people under the bus, it seems quite negative. And I get it's that whole point of like, I'm saying stuff to you because I want you to get better, which is a managing technique. I understand it. But yeah, I do think there's a line somewhere in there. I think in terms of my opinion, the line would be like, after the game has ended, just cool down. Let's not maybe throw it on other players. And then a couple of days' time, if that, you know, you still feel the same way, or you spoke to the player and he's okay and stuff's happened, then go and say it a little bit. Because you know for a fact, like when you say something 4 or 5 days after it's happened, you're going to be a little bit softer with things, maybe like in terms of like this. Then straight away after a game, you're going to be passionate. Like me with my videos, I make my videos 4 or 5 hours after the game, where you can see sometimes I'm a little bit more calmer, even if I do get sometimes angry. But like compared to like other creators who are very passionate and have their big opinions on their live stream straight away, which makes sense because I get it. It's a part of the feelings, isn't it? I just think like from a manager's perspective, he shouldn't be acting sometimes like that. He should just be a bit more like, I don't know, nicer. But it's just personal preference. It doesn't really make a difference at the end of the day. It's just personally, that's one of the things I really annoys me about him sometimes. But yeah, I do agree with the fact that it does seem Arteta is very, very set on not losing. And I think that is broadly fine. I think if we're away to City, I'm not the guy that sits there and goes, we have to win away to City. I think we have to play better and actually try and score. That's fair. But I'm not someone that sits there and goes like, oh, if we draw 0-0 away to City, that's the league over. Because like, you know, you don't need to win away against these teams to win the league. Like, it's just proven. Like, every team in this league's hard. I think a lot of teams are going to drop points. But at home, it's kind of unexcusable. Like, because it is a difference. There's fans there. The crowd's on your side. There's a big moment here. We beat them 5-1 last season in a pretty poor time in our season. We were drawing loads of games. I remember it. And then we beat City 5-1. And it was kind of like this out of nowhere. It went like out of nowhere, but it was like kind of like, oh, wow, we actually can play like this. And this year, it's the opposite. We had a good week last week. We played different tactical systems nearly every game this season. And we just kind of like, I just feel like we just gave up. He just went, no, we won't bother. We've got a better squad than every team in this country, barring maybe Liverpool. You can argue on squad-wise. It's close. But So why are we sitting there playing these teams? It's like if we play Newcastle next week, and obviously it depends on injuries. Odegaard and Havertz are massive misses for us. I get that, but we spent huge amounts of money. We've got huge squad. Like, where is there everyone else? Like we need. You've got options. We've given you options. Play them. Like I don't really get it. It annoys me. I will say on my last big point about the team and the selection and the game. I do think, like I was saying, compared to a Liverpool game, for instance, I genuinely think this game will be eye-opening to Arteta because he did change 2 subs at half-time, which is like the most unlike Arteta thing ever. Also, the fact that Eze played centrally, and like our goal doesn't even come from tactics, guys. Like I can't even really. There is tactical elements, of course, but it's literally just Eze picks the ball up here. They don't press him, and then Martinelli just runs in behind because I don't even think the Man City line is bad. I know like Gary Neville was like, oh, why did they jump up? I don't really think it was that bad at all. Like I do think, why are they here? They probably could have just been further back, maybe. Like, or that's a fair argument. But I don't really think the line was a problem. Like I think like they stepped up a little bit and then Martinelli fell a gap. But in my opinion, that's more down to Martinelli than a line being bad. But like, yeah, literally our goal is literally like what this. Like Eze puts the ball in, Martinelli runs it. He runs it from the other side, bear in mind. He runs it from the right side. He never runs from the right that much. He usually runs from the left. And he just gets on the end of it, and the finish is excellent, and it's brilliant. But it's that moment of magic that our team can produce. Martinelli's not even a starting player for our team. I know Eze should be, and he probably will be now, but he isn't like all the time. He wasn't in this game, but Martinelli definitely isn't a starter for this team, just whatever way you look at it, like right now. And he came on and did that end product, and we have that quality. So can we please just use it a bit more and allow them to actually show themselves? I just think. I feel like Arteta manages this team like 3 years ago, Arsenal, where we had like different players, and I think we were broadly amazing in 23-24 towards the end of the season, of course. But I don't think we can manage a team like that anymore. I think we just have to rely on talent. And the problem is with teams like City, when they have this high line, every other team in the Prem, bear in mind, is going to just destroy them. We are one of the worst teams at high lines. So having Martinelli on is actually a massive thing because he's one of the only people that can actually run on side. Gyökeres' running is really good. I don't think it was amazing in this game, but he has done it in the past. But he's just not like... Gyökeres is a weird guy. Like, he's not... He is quick, but he's quick over a long stretch sometimes. If it's like a really short stretch, he isn't quick enough. And I find sometimes when the ball's over the top of him, it can be a bit difficult for him to kind of adjust his body a little bit. But you get it. He's a big guy. He's like massive. Martinelli is going to be better running in at these sides. You just expect that. So I'm hoping what he's learned is that Eze can play centrally, screw the press in most games. In some games, fair. If you want to play against Newcastle, if you're worried about the press, maybe have Eze out on the left, and then hopefully Odegaard's back and we don't have to worry. But maybe just go, Ethan, we trust you. I trust Ethan well enough to do it at this point, that he can do it to a nice level. Do that. And then in possession, allow Eze to come into the centre a little bit. Maybe Calafiori out wide, or Hincapié, who's still not really played, to come out wide a little bit. Or Gyökeres even to go out wide and let Eze create the game and dictate. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. Like, I don't mind that. But after Newcastle, pretty much every game we've got for 3 months, he has to be starting Eze in... If Odegaard's playing, it's not big of an issue. But he has to be starting Odegaard and Eze, in my opinion, together. And one of them, they can rotate with each other and do whatever, but it has to be like that. And I mean, Saka was back. Apparently, Madueke got injured because I know a lot of people were saying that why did he bring him off? He was excellent in the first half. Apparently, Madueke was injured at half time, is what Arteta said after his conference. Who knows if that's the truth or not? I would imagine it might be because he was so good, and Saka is not fit. He is fit, but he's not like fully back yet. Playing him again, I know it's crazy we're at this level, but yeah. So I don't know if that is the reason. Let's hope it is, but I don't know. I'm quite worried about. I'm actually like, I don't know. I'm quite positive with the Newcastle game and the fact that Newcastle are not very good. But I don't know if that really means that we've done anything different. So it might not make any difference. But I don't think they're as good as last year at all. And obviously they don't have Isak, which helps a lot. And I just think their team's kind of struggling. Who would be my starting 10? Well, it's just fully based on, like, game dependent. I think a game that you're having the ball more, I would start a Eze or Waneri in the 10. Also, it depends on the left wing. Let's say if you're in a game where you're going to have a lot of the ball, but maybe the spaces out wide are going to be there quite a lot, then you could probably be fine with a Martinelli. But if the game's not really like that, and you might need some more tactical elements, then you could put Eze on the left, and then I'll put Waneri in the 10. Excuse me. But if it's a game like this, I would probably go for more of an Odegaard. It is not really like a natural 10. It is still like an 8-8 role, kind of. A double pivot is weird. Like Rice and Mendy move about a lot, but kind of is like this. And then I don't think Havertz should be played there at all, to be honest. I think as soon as we play big games and Havertz is back, Gyökeres is out of the team, respectfully. I think Havertz is vital in these games. I think without Havertz or Odegaard, we look useless sometimes in these bigger games. And it's for, like, really nerdy tactical reasons rather than being, like, football quality. But, I think my perfect team for a team like... My perfect 11 for a team like City... genuinely would probably be like Odegaard. I know people aren't going to like Odegaard, and it is what it is, but it probably would be something like Odegaard, Havertz, Eze, obviously Saka, but let's say, obviously Saka, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. I don't really care too much about Calafiori or Hincapié or Miles. Like, each one does a different tactical thing. It depends what you want in that game. It's really interesting we keep using Calafiori, and I do think he's really vital. But I would like us to play a little bit different, and I think it's becoming a little bit stale. So I would like Hincapié to come in and be that overlapping, especially with Eze in. Like, eventually, like, I don't really care who plays out of them two, to be honest. Like, in the long scheme of things. Right now, I think Calafiori's fine. And it's the same with, like, Mosquera. If Mosquera's playing well and Saliba's not fit, then play Mosquera. Like... But, like, broadly in the attack, Eze, Rice, Havertz, Odegaard, Saka, I think there's a lot to like there. And even if you've got some injuries, like, Madueke is absolutely fine. And Martinelli in certain games is fine. I still want Martinelli rather to play here. So I'm hoping if we do bring a Martinelli into the team, that is where you will see an Hincapié come in. Because I just think that is where I see a better connection than maybe Martinelli and Calafiori, which... on paper would work, but it hasn't worked that well. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. I don't think, to answer your question in the cards, I don't think Miles is going to play left back. I just can't see it. I genuinely think he might just be an 8 back. I think he might be the Rice backup. I feel like that's the role he is in. Because even Marino with Sin has been being used as this, like, backup for Odegaard now, which I would have thought would have been the Rice role. So I think this is where he's being used. Like, I don't think we'll be against it. I feel like Port Vale, for instance, we might play him in left back. Like, who cares? Like, we might play Lewis Skelly in left back. We might, you never know. But I feel like with Hincapié coming in for such a big amount of money, I just think Miles is going to be the backup for Rice sometimes. Not all the time, obviously. Like, Norgard can come in and be part of the pivot. We've seen Marino do it. Like, Marino can still do it. Havertz could do it as well. I think he's more of a rotational striker option now. But, well, yeah, but, like, Miles Skelly, when he plays left back, he plays here. He's not playing left back when he plays left back. He picks the ball up here. And when he's playing in midfield as like a DM, he plays here, and in for England, he basically picks up the ball here. So I don't think having a position here makes any difference. Like, him out here, he picks the ball up here. Him here, he just picks the ball up here. I think it's the exact same. I think it's actually quite an easy thingy. I don't know if Hincapié is going to be used that much as a Gabriel backup. I think Mosquera is going to get minutes on both sides this season, right and left centre back. I also think I've had this debate with Forder quite a lot on the Forder on our podcast on there, and I just think if let's say, like, Gabriel's injured and Calafiori and Hincapié are fit, I feel like he'll do this over this, but then I might be wrong. You might be right. Like, he could do both, really. Like, what's stopping him? He could just do both and they could rotate. But I feel like Calafiori is so... I feel like Hincapié in a 4 is a bit rough. Not rough, but he hasn't really played in a 4, like, ever, like, in 3 years. So it's quite hard to depend. I also think Hincapié is really good on these wide areas. And I don't think Calafiori. No, I think Calafiori is, but I think Calafiori's best effect is just running around, and I don't think you get that when he's stuck out here. So maybe. I just think it depends on games. But this is the point. We talk about how we've got all these options for all these games, and then we just play Marino every game. And it's like, I feel like we could do something more than just playing Marino. I feel like there is more fun to be had. Yeah, MLS at left back means Eze's isolated a wing. Yeah, exactly. I don't think, like, then you would have to play a Trossard, I would think. But I literally made a video. I made a short the other day saying Trossard's really good off the bench and he's like underrated. And I didn't want him to start. I made it quite clear that off the bench he's very good, and I cannot believe he started. And he came off in the 83rd minute, and it wasn't good. He didn't really do anything in my eyes. Like whatever the tactical implications of him coming deeper and switching that ball, it didn't work, or it may have worked to get Madueke the ball, but we didn't score and we were 1-0 down. So it didn't broadly make us better overall, which is like the whole point of tactics. Don't you do things to make you better? Like, we didn't create that many chances still. Like, is what it is. So I just think, yeah, I don't know. Trossard, I don't think Trossard's going to be seeing the pitch for a while. I can say that. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. Good. That's interesting you say that, to be fair, but you don't see Hincapié get minutes, because I'm like borderline on the opposite of it. I genuinely just think he is going to be the Ben White of left back. Like, we moved Ben White to right back and he plays similar, but I could be wrong. We see 4 minutes of him. Like, when are we going to see this guy play, man? Very interesting though. I really want to see Hincapié play, because I'm super interested, like you said, to see if he is the centre back cover against Port Vale. He'll probably play centre back. I could see it. I don't see a point of having him be an overlap and left back against Port Vale. It seems a bit overkill, right? But yeah, I think that would be that really. I don't know. It seems a bit overkill. What you guys say? Rice is disappointing me, Dent says. Yeah, Rice has started the season like slow. He's not been bad, but it's just like in these games he's been a little bit off it. He was a little bit off against United. He was off it a little bit against Liverpool, I felt. He is like this though. Rice starts every season slow. He started every season slow. So it is what it is at the end of the day. Like, it's not great, but we move, But I completely understand like people being disappointed. Yeah, still confused why Trossard's starting. Like, it's just for this. Like, oh, we're gonna switch the ball from deeper, but like, it's just honestly like, like genuinely, like I've sitting trying to explain it. I genuinely just think it is because he's like a good deeper like crossfield passer, but the problem is, I will say with this game is that after the 9th minute, when they scored, the game changed a lot. And instantly, I think half of the things that Arteta implemented were just not worth it. Like Marino, for instance, after that 9th minute was pointless. Like I said, his big involvement was that build-up, being the extra man. Didn't matter when they're not attacking. So it's like, wow, okay, well, it's great, isn't it? Trossard as well, like in these deeper blocks and stuff, when teams are like getting on him a bit, just pointless. And like, I'm not going to blame necessarily. I mean, it is kind of Arteta's fault, 'cause he's supposed to see these things, isn't he? But, them scoring early doesn't help, but it's whatever, innit? What it is. Yeah, so that's basically, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. So, yeah, well, before we end, we'll talk about some questions. Like, what have you guys got any questions for me, or have any questions of the game, or what's your opinions of the game overall? Because, yeah, I mean, it's just one of them games where, like, tactically, there's so much. Like, I need to rewatch it again. I've obviously watched the second half now. I know there's a lot involved in it, not necessarily positive for Arsenal. I think there's a lot going on. I know people going on Twitter like, "Oh my god, what a tactical game!" Like, it was decent. There was some cool stuff that happened. Especially, it was more on the City end of them being so defensive was quite fun for them, I guess. Let's see how the media spin this, because what I will say is, like, yeah, again, people go, oh, well, you don't attack, but City didn't attack after they scored. I know they scored, that is a key point there, but I do think that managers know they need to be a little bit more ruthless and a bit more defensive, and I didn't think City had that in them, so fair play. Thoughts on Pep's tactics by Den? I mean, I respect it. Like at the end of the day, I'm someone that's like, well, if you win, you do it any means necessary to win. Do I think it made a lot of sense? No. Like I think at least they should have at least attacked a bit. By the 70th minute, bringing Haaland off and all that stuff, I don't mind as much. But I think, like, from their perspective, they just sat 5-0 to Arsenal, who didn't even really do a lot anyway going forward. And I don't even think if they gave us the space, we're like the best team anyway going forward. But then ultimately, like, they gave us a half chance and we scored from it. So who knows? But it is funny they did all of that effort to keep that lead, and then we just scored like that. And that's kind of what it is based on, isn't it? I'm not happy with the point, really. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm annoyed. I'm happy that we got a point and then nothing because of the situation of the game. And I genuinely think this is kind of like, it's a little bit of like the reverse of what happened when we played at the Etihad last year in the 2-2. Obviously, a lot of different circumstances, but they scored that last-minute goal against like a team that's defending well. I think we did that against them today. Obviously, they scored some jammy corner goal though, and we actually scored a really good goal. But yeah, like, I'm not. A draw is good enough for us to take and move on to Newcastle, where we need to win. A loss, it just ruins everything. Like, it just really puts me in a mood where I'm like, are we going to do anything? If we beat Newcastle, then I'm like, okay. There has been some improvements. We are getting better, but it's just slow at the start. Fine. We've had a really hard schedule. Cool. I'm not happy with today, but whatever. We'll move. But yeah, if we don't beat Newcastle, then I don't know what to say, really. We can't keep messing up. Oh, no. Yeah, Havertz is out for so long. I don't even know when he comes back. Yeah, Pep parked the bus and they're calling him a genius. Yeah, they will. The media will spin this game. They always spin the games. It annoys me so much, man. It really does. I hate how the media talk about football genuinely a lot, especially mainstream. Yeah, I agree with that Nathan Piper with the De Bruyne type. I just think that's why Eze should start, really, isn't it? So brave on the ball. Like, he just takes risks. He is barely had like much impact in his 3 games he's played for Arsenal. I'm not well, if you count the Liverpool game 4 technically, but in them games, he almost scored against Liverpool. He's got 2 assists. He had a few moments of magic against Bilbao, which was his weakest game today. And it's like he doesn't have to be great to produce, and that is something we've missed. His pass is excellent. I don't know many Arsenal players other than barring Calafiori maybe that would have done that pass. Like, I think Rice can, but I don't know if he would have done it. So that was really good to see. Eze has to start from now on. I still like Martinelli as a bench option. Like, I don't want to be harsh to him because he's been excellent recently. I still like him off the bench. I don't know if I really want him to start against Newcastle. We'll see. I'll see how I feel then. I'm not really sure. Reese, how annoyed is Gary Neville on commentary now? I don't want to talk about it. Why do they put a guy that's a Man United player and supporter on an Arsenal versus City game? And then he was on the Arsenal and Leeds game as well. If you don't like either of the team, why is he there? I don't get it personally. I'd rather someone be neutral in terms of like not caring about either team than hating both of them. Is what it is. Snob, can I put you on the spot? Does starting Wineri and Eze over Marino increase or decrease the chance of conceding on the counter in the 9th minute? And does that change how you view this start in midfield? So Wineri and Eze over Marino increase or decrease chances. I do think, like, this is the thing. I think if Wineri or Eze starts, the chances of us getting countered are a lot more higher. And I think like that is sometimes like what Arteta plays into a fact. I think that our press would have been worse. Would it have mattered that much because they didn't have a lot of the ball? Maybe not. It really depends on how Man City were going to play, and you kind of predict how they were going to play. Like, I didn't necessarily think after the 9th minute they didn't shut up shop completely until like later, but they did kind of a lot, and I wouldn't have expected that if I was Arteta, to be honest. But if you have an Eze in that position then, or a Wineri, suddenly you're going to have a lot more time on the ball, which I did know. I did think we were going to have a lot more of the ball than before against City. And that is when they come into the play a little bit more. I think that, yeah, I think we would get counted more with them in the team than Marino, but I don't think Marino himself really stops that. He's not like that sort of player. I just think in terms of keeping control and making sure that we don't lose the ball in them positions is something that Mourinho would probably help with, rather than being a guy that's like always going to stop that. And for instance, Eze or Waneri would come into these areas, probably lose the ball a lot more than Mourinho, because they're trying things, riskier things. And, that's the sort of risk and reward that we talk about. But obviously, it's all like hypotheticals at the end of the day, because it didn't happen. We don't know. But it's kind of where I think on things. But I think I think we're all justified in kind of wanting to take risk, especially at home against a team that, in my opinion, we should be beating. I just think that he usually gets things right against City, Arteta. I think he completely read Pep wrong today, which, very weird, very weird. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. 100% Snob, 100%. You're completely right with that. Like, the whole point of Mourinho being on the pitch, I think, is to not concede early, like we saw against Liverpool. And then when the game's like tight and even, is then to bring your talent on with fresh legs. But it didn't work when we conceded in the 90th minute, which broadly wasn't Mourinho's fault. Like, it wasn't really his fault. But that's what happens. That's the risk you take sometimes in football. We're not going for the initiative. And, Arteta's been going on all week about finishes, finishes, finishes. And I think he genuinely, like, it's how he manages at the moment, but he seems to have more of a focus on the end of the games than the start of the games, which I don't like. You can talk, it could be good, could be bad. It is what it is. I don't really like, it's whatever, it's an opinion thing. But that is one of them moments where you're like, well, that's the risk of you playing this sort of system and, waiting and waiting and waiting to make your subs. And then he knew he got it wrong, though, I think, with 2 subs at half time. Madueke might have got injured for Saka, fair enough. But, I mean, he took Mourinho off for Eze. Like, that is damning to me, to be like, wow, I messed up, guys. I'm sorry. Which, fair enough. Like, in the end, we didn't lose. Is that all that says it, though? I don't know. I don't think so, but uh, Eze, Anonymous says, Eze playing on the wing or Eze in midfield? Just depends what game it is. I think in this game, I would have definitely thought about playing Eze in midfield more than wing. But I think against like a Forest, I think Eze in the wing it makes more sense personally. I think that not for a Marino though. Like Waneri. Like I think in games against like teams that aren't a top 6 or top 8, let's say the big top 8 now, and maybe like your odd ones like Brighton and Bournemouth or whatever. If you're playing broadly like the bottom half of the league, I would prefer to just play Waneri and Eze. But if you're playing like some of these bigger teams, maybe even like a Newcastle, that sort of team, I would prefer to play Eze in midfield and then like anyone on the left. I don't know, put anyone there. At the moment, Martinelli. I think I'd rather have Martinelli more than Trossard generally, even though he's been worse. Because I just think tactically there's a lot more things you can do with Martinelli. But I don't really care about that. But anyone can play left wing. Like it's not. I think at least with Eze in midfield, you just get a lot of good stuff happening, which is what we need. Let's be honest, we do not win against strong teams. Check all our games so far. All the victories were against medium to weak teams. If we can't win against strong ones, we won't win silver. I mean, not being disrespectful, but we've played 5 games. Like, look at our stats last season. That's not what happened. Last season, the reason why we didn't win the league is because we drew and lost to all of the teams we should have beaten and not the big ones. We didn't lose to a top 6 team last year, and we broadly won a lot of them. Like, I don't agree with that. I think this season we've played Liverpool and City, which are bear in mind the 2 best teams in the country, but are other than us. It's not like we've played a Chelsea or that. We didn't play well against United, fair enough, but that was first game of the season, and we still beat them. So who really cares at the end of the day? It's not like we're playing like Newcastle and Brighton's, and they're the teams. If we're not beaten, I'm more concerned. Like I'm concerned about because it's like, well, they're the teams we never beat. But like Man City and Liverpool are the best teams in the country. Like they are going to be hard to beat, and we've been broadly very good against them for a very long time. It's just whatever. Like I think he got it wrong today, personally, and I think I don't really think he got it wrong against Liverpool. I think we got unlucky at Anfield, to be honest. But um, I think that was a big problem today. I do agree with Mourinho being passive. Thoughts on Saka's performance? It is what it is, man. He's trying. He's just still not recovered, has he? Worries me a lot if Madueke is injured, because it's like, well, I mean, Max Dowman, I think will start against Port Vale. I think that's probably been in ready and waiting for a while, so I don't really worry about that. But when we play Newcastle, like, who's going to play? Is Saka fully fit to play? I don't know. Is Madueke going to be fine? Let's hope so. Like, we need someone to play there, unless he wants to put Martinelli back on the right, which he has done off the bench already this season. So, I mean, but in that instance, I can't blame him. Like, we've got no other options already. I guess you play Ethan there, wouldn't you? I'd play Ethan there over Martinelli, right now. And then there you go, put Eze in midfield, and then eventually Eze will find his way in the midfield. He's gonna start Mourinho against Newcastle. I just know it. I know this guy too well. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. What you said there. Putting Eze over Waneri doesn't mitigate conceding a goal, but it gives you a solution if you concede. 100%. 100%. And it's like the opposite. Mourinho's the guy that is supposed to mitigate the goal, but he didn't, and then we didn't have any options. And honestly, I don't know if it's just because it's like a fan perspective, but if something like that happens early on in the game, I'm doing a change, man. 20 minutes in. I'm sorry though. Like Mourinho, I'm like, you're coming off. Like, I know that he probably thinks it's going to be fine, and it's always that thing with managers where, well, we put the team out that we think is going to do the best. But I mean, we saw it with Liverpool. They took Kajkev off at the 35th minute because he wasn't playing well, didn't they? It's a bit different. He's a left back, but like, I don't know. I feel like I want a bit more of that of Arteta, but I know you won't ever do that. That's not the Pep way. Like Pep doesn't do that early in the first half, even if things aren't working. Um, Yeah, I agree with harsh reality though. At home, he should be more confident in his squad. Maybe he didn't start Eze because it's Eze's first time playing the Champions League United States. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, he does have to be braver. There's no excuses really. Like, it is still early days in this season, and that's why I think there's a lot of like teething issues with players coming in and players not being ready and players, not being up to the speed that we want them to. But I think broadly, there needs to be a certain level of just who cares? Play your best players. Play them in there. Play Eze in midfield. The press might be a little bit worse, but look, we're going to have a much bigger chance of scoring goals if we concede. And we've also got one of the best defences in Europe. So the chances of scoring against Arsenal are already like lower than a lot of other teams are going to have. That's kind of how I think with this team right now, but I know he doesn't think like that, but he needs to adapt, I think, to that. Arteta apparently defended his midfield based on Bilbao in the post-match press conference. But this is what I mean. If he knew he didn't mess up, why would he bring Marino off at half time? Like, I told you his press conferences really annoy me after the games because every other time he speaks, I'm like, oh yeah, it's calm, but not when he does that. If Martinelli could get his form back, could he genuinely be the solution to the left wing issues we have? Maybe. I just think he's a very specific winger. I think he really likes, like, I made that video about how I think in the game against Bilbao, it made so much sense to bring Martinelli on. I really want him to be used in central areas, and it seems like we really are trying to do that a lot more. But that is so much easier to do when he comes off the bench and games are frantic like this one, and even the Bilbao one to an extent. Teams are getting tired, and you can make him running behind. So I really like that by Martinelli. If that's how you're going to use him as a super sub, I like it. Fine. I think that's a great way to use him. As a starting left winger, that really I don't think he's got a career there for Arsenal. I don't think he plays the way that we play. I don't think it's a big enough fit. And fundamentally, he's not good enough for us to platform him. That's how it is. He's the worst attacker we have, barring Trossard or whatever. He just is. So he can't. We're not going to start changing the tactics to help him, and that's never been the way. So if he couldn't adapt to it, so maybe we just play him in this super sub way, and that's a bit how it is. I mean, a little bit, but like Doku in these positions can literally take on a whole team. Martinelli can like sometimes barely dribble, I feel like. Yeah, left wing is the problem area. I do think though, with the amount of money that Arsenal have spent, I've said this before, that like there is going to be issues in the team. Liverpool have issues. They have issues at fullback. I think. I don't really think Kirchhoff has been very good. I think Wirtz, they haven't been able to fit in. And I think without Szoboszlai, their team doesn't really work that well. But like at the end of the day, you have these little problems, but your talent and your squad is good enough to win games. And our talent and our squad is good enough to win games. So as much as like left wing is a problem we need to sort out, there should be enough quality around the pitch to work. I genuinely think when Saka comes back, you probably do play Madueke if he's fit on the left again. But in my opinion, it's like, it's annoying because it could be better and it should be better. But if all the other players are really good, then it shouldn't make that much of a difference. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot more going on. It's just kind of one of them things, though. Like, I agree, though. This is a concern. Yeah, I do agree, though. Thoughts on Rice today? Like I said before, like 25 minutes ago, I said that like he just starts seasons really slow, and it's sometimes he's just like his timings are a bit off, if you know what I mean. Like he's just like a bit late to get to things. Takes a bit too long on the ball sometimes. I feel like Zubimendi will kick him into gear a little bit earlier than sometimes, but he always starts every season slow. He does play a huge amount of football, though, so there's got to be some sort of, like, tiredness there. He plays more football than anyone else in this team, I think, for club and country. Like, his minutes in the last 2 seasons have been insane. I think Saliba's up there as well, and obviously Saka. But even Saka gets a rest sometimes for England. Rice never gets a rest for England, and he has to play in their midfield. I'd like to see like the stats in the last like 30 England games, how many he started. Cause I'm sure it's probably like 27 or 28 or something like that. He's played nearly every game. So it's one of them things where like, it's one of them things where, yeah, it is what it is. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think broadly that's mostly what I wanted to say. I still find a way to talk for an hour somehow. I do agree in the comments with Trossard and Martinelli should be impact players. I think they should be as well. I think in some games you can start Martinelli more than Trossard. But if you're playing weaker teams, who cares? Like, if we're playing, like, respectfully, like Burnley, play Martinelli, it'll be fine. But, like, there's like, games like this where it's like, yeah, they should not be options to be used, personally, when we have other options anyway. We don't create a lot. Yeah, it is a big problem, and I think it will be. But, I mean, thank you guys for being in this stream. I will try and do more. I'm not very good at this. I always do one every, like, month, and then Sal do another one and don't turn up for 4 years. But, yeah, I will do one. I'll make a video about this game for tomorrow. I don't know what angle I'll pick yet. Probably do another rewatch, and then we'll make a decision. But, yeah. Not the best day overall, but we'll take it. We move on at the end of the day. We'll take the draw, I guess. Just hope we can keep continuing. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys as always. And I'll see you in the next one.